Welcome to the Growing Up Bananas podcast, where we dissect the perks and tribulations of being bananas.
It's hard being yellow when I feel so white.
My name is Ethan. Kevin sits next to me, and in many ways, I'm sitting next to him. What do we have in store today?
Today we're discussing our experiences around nightlife. Later we have Carmen, CRMXN on Insta, for those who may be interested. Let's get into it.
So in terms of nightlife for us in Brisbane, I think, especially on the southside, we're probably a bit lacking in options when it comes to later.
Like past 9 o'clock.
Yeah, so post-dinner. I suppose, why is that?
I mean, there's plenty of bubble teas and dessert shops.
Oh yeah, there's no lack of that.
Yeah, there's no shortage of that. That's exploded. I guess when you move into nightlife, like past 9, what is there to do, really? There's time zone.
Yeah, especially around Brisbane. I mean, iPong was going pretty rampant for a little while until, I mean, we haven't been in ages, have we?
I haven't been.
Unless you've gone without me.
No, I would never do that either.
So there's places like that where there's a couple of bars that pop up around the place. But
it was Old School. Was another cool one?
Yeah, I think they've reopened somewhere, like in the technology park. I haven't been there either. Why is it? I mean, so we're the people who keep saying, "Oh yeah, we know we'd go. It'd be awesome," but we actually never go.
I think for me, I really only like to go out and drink when it's like an occasion.
Yep.
Less so, yeah. Unless if I prefer to drink at home now these days.
Do you feel more comfortable when you go out with like a white crowd or like an Asian crowd like us?
In general, I think Asian, but I'm not uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm the same. For some reason lately, I've just felt way more comfortable going out. Like if we go to like a Roken or something like that with you guys, it just feels easier. I know when you go to like a Pig and Whistle or something, it's just slightly more rowdy. I don't know. It's just a bit less comfortable somehow.
Just different clothing attire you got to wear too. Yeah. I think that's the difference for me.
But yeah, I mean, other than just drinking, there's bubble teas and, like you say, heaps of dessert places.
I think because at the moment I'm so focused on training, like just drinking alcohol and spending long nights out isn't priority for me. It's sort of the sacrifice that I make to keep my training up so I don't waste a whole Sunday. Yeah. That's how I see it. Or Saturday in this case, because I actually wake up pretty early on Saturday just to teach. So Friday night drinking has been off the table for me for a long time. Yeah. Yeah.
And then within our like friends group, there's people who work Saturdays or Sundays. So there's always, it's a bit hard to
tee it up. Yeah. That's why it's usually drinks at home, just quite easy one. Or like birthdays and things like that. So yeah, it's fine. Doesn't faze me.
Maybe it just speaks to us or the company that we keep, where we just...
But that's the company I choose too. Like I could not see myself going out drinking every weekend now. I've done it. Like 18 to 20, I think it was, that 2 year. That was every weekend we went to the Valley and went out. And then I think as we got older later on, we did a lot of iPong and Old School. When was that? Was that 20...
That would have been like around...
2018?
Yeah, around then.
Just before COVID.
Yeah.
Those were good times too.
Times have changed, unfortunately. We're getting old.
Body can't take the alcohol anymore.
No. So anyway, let's get into it. We've got a nice interview coming up with Carmen.
Yep.
And hopefully we get some good things from her and some insights into her life.
Looking forward to it.
Let's do it. So we're very lucky today to have Carmen join us. She's a good friend of the show, a lovely lady. So we're going to hopefully get some insight into her life. How are you today?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you guys today?
Very well, thanks.
Well, thanks.
Good. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I really appreciate your time to come on today. So
thanks for coming on.
Something a little bit different. Let's start off with fun facts about yourself that you think no one knows.
One fun fact about me is that I'm a huge sweet tooth. I never knew this about myself until I moved here to Brisbane, and one of my housemates saw me eating a lot of snacks, and he was like, "You really like your sweets, don't you?" And I was like, I guess I do, because whenever people ask me, are you like a sweet tooth or do you prefer savoury, I always said savoury until this year. So
what's your favourite go-tos?
Oh my god, I love TV snacks from Arnott's. Yep. Arnott's Reckon.
Do you think it's because
always
of the new client?
No, I've always been a fan of TV snacks, but I only had it as kind of like a cheat meal or cheat snack when I go to like the movies or something. But ever since I started started living alone, I buy my own snacks, and I've been gravitating towards TV snacks.
I'm the exact opposite because I had a lot of snacks. My mum has a massive sweet tooth.
Yeah.
She'll attest to that. And when I moved out of home, I had no money, so I couldn't afford desserts and snacks. And then I just got used to not having it, and now I just got in that habit.
Snacks.
So it was the opposite of you.
Yeah.
I just had no money, no resources to actually get anything. So
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as you, Ethan. I don't really have a sweet tooth either. I prefer savory, but lately I think I still gravitate toward grabbing like the certain chips, especially the flaming hot Cheetos.
Oh yeah, they are good.
And what's the other one? Those veggie straws.
Veggie straws.
Yeah.
You feel like they're somewhat healthy.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, healthy snacks.
Next minute, go through 2 bags.
We're gonna do a segment coming up, possibly with my wife. We're gonna do one on Asian snacks. So our favorites, maybe a review.
Like White Rabbit.
Yeah, White Rabbits.
This is another
the
classic.
prawn crackers and all those things.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
That'd be fun to
Can I
watch.
can I be there for that? To
Yeah, definitely, man.
Taste
Definitely.
and test. Sweet, thank you.
The more the merrier. So Carmen, as an Asian in Australia, we always get this question: where are you from? But it's usually where are you actually from?
Yeah.
So what can you tell us?
Well, I was born and raised in Australia, WA, and yeah, I do get this question, and sometimes I find it really confusing to answer because the story is that both of my parents were born in Vietnam and raised in Vietnam, but both of my grandparents were born and raised in China and then migrated to Vietnam. So when I tell people, am I Chinese Vietnamese or am I Chinese? And yeah, I guess in terms of like the culture that I follow, it's more Chinese, but then my mum cooks a lot of Vietnamese food and my mum's side is quite Vietnamese in terms of the culture that they follow. So I guess I'm a mix of both. Yeah, I get the best of both worlds.
And do you guys speak Vietnamese at home?
I know like the necessities, so how to like ordering food in Vietnamese,
and
like
things like
pho
that.
and dom dum. But I speak Cantonese at home.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're pretty fluent in Cantonese?
I would say I'm conversational, so if I were to go to like a Cantonese speaking place like Hong Kong, I would be able to get by.
Get around.
Yeah. But if I were to work in like an office, like professional setting, I don't know the technical like Cantonese skills to get by like that.
It's enough to survive.
Yeah.
So on the resume, is it Cantonese fluent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
We were joking with Sam about that. So he's apparently that's what got him his first job at Optus, was because he said he was fluent in Korean. He's not.
Yeah.
And like I've put down at times like not working proficiency, but
Isn't that
some sort of Chinese. But I can't.
Isn't that how Alan started working at Tesla too?
Probably.
Because I remember when he first told me, like, they were looking for people that were fluent in Chinese
Chinese.
for that clientele. And
Yeah.
What kind
That's
of
just history.
Chinese do you speak? Like Mandarin?
None.
Or?
Well, me personally, I don't speak any.
Oh, any at all?
No, so my parents, I'm born in South Africa, so my parents,
Oh, wow.
when we emigrated here, they kind of just gave up on all that and just focused on raising us,
Yeah.
which sucks because a lot of times I wish I could speak, not just for job opportunities and things, but I think once you actually speak the language, you feel a lot more part of the culture.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Are
as
you
the
gonna-
language goes, you just don't feel.
So do you think you raise your kids and teach them, take them to school, Chinese school?
So with Alex, my wife being Vietnamese, it's Vietnamese or Chinese or another language, so I don't even know.
Do you reckon not both? One or the other?
Probably one or the other.
I guess Vietnamese would make more sense actually for this household.
Yeah. And so then back to yours. Why did you learn Chinese as opposed to Vietnamese with Vietnamese parents?
'Cause I lived with my grandma and she spoke Cantonese. So my grandma's from my dad's side, which is culturally we're more Chinese. So my mom actually, she was more Vietnamese growing up, but because when she married my dad, we lived with my grandparents. So she actually learnt Cantonese and became like fluent in Cantonese.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess Cantonese has just been my first language this whole time.
Yeah, right. Do you mind me asking how was it that you were raised by your grandmother?
Yeah. Growing up, I felt like I didn't get along with my grandma. Like, we clashed a lot. And I always thought maybe because our personalities were really similar. But I don't know. I feel like maybe just there has been kind of some kind of favoritism. My grandma favored my brother a little bit more, I felt. Yeah, but it's all right.
Is your brother older or younger?
He's older, yeah.
Why do you think she favored him?
I think there was just this opinion that my brother was like the good kid. He was really sweet, always smiling, and so I took on the reputation of like the more naughty kid, because you know, like younger siblings are a little bit more spoiled. So I guess like when compared to my brother, he's like the more mature one. I'm like the naughty, rebellious one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And are you guys close?
My brother?
Yeah. Do you guys talk a lot or?
Yeah. I mean, growing up, during like high school days, we kind of lived like very separate lives. Like he was finding himself and I was like a teenage girl with like hormones and stuff. So we fought a lot, but then like he moved to Gold Coast and yeah, we became really, really close after that. I guess like space makes the heart grow fonder.
Yep.
And now that we're both emotionally mature, we appreciate each other's differences more. And yeah, I'm very lucky to say that I am close to my brother and I can confide in him.
And that's how you came across from Perth.
Yeah. It was because my brother lived in Gold Coast. I thought, like Gold Coast would be my first little launching pad before I go anywhere else.
Okay. And did you make that move by yourself, or your whole family came over to Queensland?
No, I made the move by myself. It was really spontaneous. I was talking to a friend over dinner and he was saying how he moved to Shanghai just like spontaneously, and it was like the best decision that he's made. And I've always wanted to venture out and like experience the world a little bit more. And so after that dinner, I took more thought into it and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to, if not now, then when? So I decided to move to Gold Coast.
Okay. Well, it seems like a positive move. You look quite happy here.
Yeah. Like one of my best friends, Brett, he moved to Melbourne and he always said that he felt really empowered when he moved and lived by himself. Because I guess like similar to me, like living at home with my parents, like they did a lot for me. Like they'd do like the laundry and like washing the dishes and stuff. And I always felt a little bit lazy.
Yeah.
But like moving out by yourself, you live way more independently and you have to take more accountability for your actions, and I felt that was really empowering.
You have to, right? Otherwise there's no food on the
that's
table.
it.
There's no
I
clean
learned that very
clothes.
quickly. The food wasn't just going to appear,
Yeah.
which I was used to. But
The clothing doesn't just magically fold itself.
yeah, so a lot of growing up when you moved out, and seems to be a really positive
Yeah.
move.
That's great.
Yeah, I love it.
So your parents, like you said, they're quite traditional. No sex before marriage. All those lovely things that are very difficult to
Adhere
to
to.
actually grow out.
Yeah, as like a young Asian living in Australia, living like westernized values, it's hard to live by for some of like the traditional values. But I'm really lucky because my parents aren't like the type that pressures me into being like, you know, you have to be an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor to succeed. But they've always been like, do whatever makes you happy. And if it makes you happy, then we'll support you. And so I feel like my brother and I are very lucky to have parents that impose that value of chasing happiness.
Yeah, that's quite rare from parents that were not born in Australia.
Yeah.
Because it's quite complicated for Asian parents. They show their love in different ways. So so my parents, for example, they physically and verbally tell me and show me how much they love me all the time.
Awesome.
Whereas you got other parents who they'll provide for you and they'll just make sure that financially everything's fine, and that's their way of showing love.
Yeah.
And they may not necessarily tell you that they love you. So what would you say your parents, they're more on the supportive side than on the, I guess, the physical side?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think my parents they show love like physically, but definitely acts of service, which I feel like predominantly a lot of Asian parents are like. So like my mom would show her love by making my favorite food or like cutting like fruits for me.
Yeah.
And then my dad would show his love by acts of service as well. Like he would see my car is running on empty and he would go out and like fill it up for me, which is like
that'd be
so
nice.
wholesome.
Especially in this day and age.
Oh yeah,
true.
It's just flexing really.
Yeah.
Cool.
But in terms of my relationship with my parents, I have a really good relationship with them. I wouldn't say that we, go have like DNMs and stuff, and maybe because that's also like a language barrier.
Yep.
And like talking about emotions and stuff, I think that was a little bit lacking, but I do know that they love me and everything they do is, wanting the best for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's quite common too, isn't it? Like, I don't know that many parents where you can actually have like that sort of chat.
Yeah.
I feel like it's something I would change if I had kids. Try and have that open conversation.
Yeah, and that's something that we're hoping to have with our kids. I mean, they may not even want to talk to us about that stuff, but hopefully they feel comfortable to do it because it's really important. We spoke about it on a previous podcast, the different, acceptance that you want. So when you're young, you really just want your parents' approval. You get a bit older and then it's your friends, peers, and then you get a bit older. So now probably in our sort of age, it's more from maybe mentors, people that we aspire to be.
Or look up to.
Yeah. And it changes over time.
Yeah. I do feel like talking about emotions is something kind of like, training your muscles. The more you do it, especially starting them from a young age, the more they're used to talking about emotions. Yeah.
Are you quite in tune with your emotions?
Honestly, I used to hate talking about my emotions as well until like only a few years ago that I learned to be more vulnerable just because we never talked about emotions in the household.
Yep.
So it was something that I wasn't comfortable with. I guess like I said before, like the more you do it, the more you get used to it and know that vulnerability is important to connect with your friends and family.
Yeah. No,
What do you think sparked that, or how did you go down that path or get started? Because I know some people haven't potentially.
There might be a catalyst, something changed and they felt that they just need to be more open or something. Yeah.
Around the same time was when I broke up with my first long-term boyfriend. Even in that relationship, we didn't really talk a lot about emotions and that kind of like deep stuff. But I think when I broke up with that long-term relationship, I was going through a phase of like finding myself, and also I needed support, especially from my best friend Anna. And she was always someone that was a really good listener, very in tune. I think she has a very high EQ, I think, and that's something I always looked up to. And she kind of just asked me questions and showed how you can be more in tune with your emotions.
Okay.
So I think that was
Anna
one
was
of the
kind of like one of your mentors or catalysts to it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Anna.
Shout out to Anna. Love you.
Cool.
And yoga as well. Yeah, it just gives me that time to be by myself and have a time of introspection and reflection.
Yeah. So I know yoga is quite a big part of your life, so we'll talk about that specifically later. So it's good to know that that's sort of what got you on that path. Before we, jump too far ahead, what was school like for you? So did you go to a predominantly white school?
Yeah. School was pretty good. Like I had a bunch of friends and like I really enjoyed the experience, especially in primary school. I went to a very multicultural school, which I think I was very lucky to be in that kind of environment. Like we would have specific like programs for immigrant families and immigrant kids. Yeah, we had a lot of kids from like Africa, and we would be like we would partner up with them and become friends with them and that kind of thing. So
was it multicultural throughout, like from year 1 all the way through to 12? Or
I would say so. Yeah, and we had a lot of Asian population in that school as well. Yeah. Yeah,
right. That's probably the first time I've heard that in Australia, that they actually had like programs. Not to say it doesn't happen, because obviously it's happening, but I haven't actually heard that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily, you didn't feel like an outcast as much growing up?
No, I had a bunch of like Asian girls that I hung out with, and I still hang out with to this day. Okay. So yeah, I always felt comfortable in primary school. Yeah. I think in high school it was a little bit different though. I did feel maybe it was something that I felt internally, but there maybe have been notes of like racism.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were very segregated in our year for some reason, because like when I look at the years before us and the years after us, they were really multicultural and they're all mingled. But it was just our year, we had like, you know, the stereotypes of like Asian phobes, like maybe the cooler Asians, and then the basketballers, the
so
drama
it's all
kids.
quite cliquey.
Yeah, and it didn't really mingle, and that was like what I expected coming into high school. I thought it'd be like all mingly and we would go to like parties and stuff, but it was not like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's strange. So it's just your year in particular.
Yeah.
Must have been, sounds like unlucky that particular year, since above and below everyone seemed to get along and mingle.
Exactly. What about you guys? Did you guys mingle a lot with other cultures in high school?
I can go first because Kev's shared his story and he can touch on it again. No, I had absolutely no multiculturalism in my school. So it's just all white people.
Oh, really?
Which is fine. You know, a few of my close friends I still keep in touch with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I had a totally different experience to, I guess, the both of you from that aspect.
Yeah, I had a little bit of both of what you each had. So like very early on, year 1 to 3 was multicultural. Year 4 till 9 was like a Catholic Christian school, so it was mostly white. And then moving to Brisbane from year 9 till 12, then it was back to multicultural again. And I found my clique and all different cultures, and it was great. And that was also the time when I went from an all-boys school to, what's the word?
Co-ed.
Co-ed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's right.
The differences, and I don't know. Maybe it's better now. I don't know what it's like, but I prefer co-ed personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only gone to co-ed schools, so can't speak on all boys schools. I think it like anything will have its pros and cons.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
I think that's really cool that you got to experience all these different things, because then you'd have a more informed decision of when you have kids, then you know what kind of education you want to give them.
Yeah,
because you've personally lived these experiences.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up around, like, during that period, I had no sisters, so it was very, when it came here, it was like just mingling with girls was
Foreign.
so foreign. Yeah.
Sausage heavy growing up. So I'm one of 3 boys as well. So I went to a co-ed school, but most of I've never really had girlfriends.
Yeah.
Growing up, like you have girls that you hang out with sometimes, but never actually had a group of girlfriends.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally different experience.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah. When it came to here, though, pretty much majority of my friends were girls, I'd say. I guess it's probably 50-50 actually in high school.
I guess it depends where you get your friends from. Like, so for me, it was all made through sport. So I'm not playing mixed sports. So that's all the people I'd hang out with were just guys. So
True.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you spoke about your school where you had your cliques. Where do you think you fit in the group hierarchy?
I think looking back, sometimes I felt like I didn't really belong in any clique.
Okay.
Because I was in the academically talented program.
Right.
Because I didn't live in the area which my high school resided in, so I had to get in by like doing a test and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And I honestly don't feel like I belonged in that group. I felt kind of like
Why?
the black sheep. I was so shit at maths, and like
We all were. It's a terrible stereotype.
yeah, and like because you're in ATP, you have to be with the same people throughout
the
all
whole
of the
thing.
years. Yeah, as opposed to if you were in like a normal class, then you'd have different students in your class every year, so you get to mingle a little bit more. But I was with the same people and I didn't feel like I belonged. And then
Did they make you feel like you didn't belong, or was it just
maybe it was just a little bit of me. I was kind of like in my shell as well. Yeah.
Yep. So this is what, like early high school, like 13, 14 age?
Yeah.
I think everyone at that stage, they don't know themselves. They're trying to find themselves.
Yeah.
And everyone just feels like there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
You know, whether they are well adjusted or not, they
Yeah.
just feel like there's something missing,
Yeah.
no matter what.
And and then in our group of Asians, like I obviously didn't really fit in with like the FOB Asians, even though like I was friends with them and they're like really cool people.
Yeah.
But because I was born and raised in Australia, I didn't really fit into that group. And then in my wider group of friends, which I hung out with every day, like there was a group of girls which I'm like really good friends with, but like in high school they were like Christian, so they'd go to like youth groups and stuff, but I'm not from a Christian background.
Yeah.
So I didn't really feel like I belonged there either. And I guess
Same.
it was kind of like hard finding what kind of identity I belonged in high school.
Were you sporty? Did you do much athletics or anything like that?
Yeah, I did do sports. I did like swimming and basketball, but I wasn't very good at it. I did it more because my parents like told me to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're quite tall for an Asian girl.
Yeah, maybe it's from the swimming, or maybe because my dad is taller.
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that's true. Like, you know how Asian parents are like, if you bring your kids to swimming, they'll get taller?
No, I did swimming and I'm still.
I guess. Yeah.
I did.
We debunked
Wait, what
the
kind of
myth.
swimming were you doing though? Because mine was more like life saving,
Oh.
like learning how to survive. So I had like jumpers on me,
Yeah.
jeans, and they throw you in the water and you have to like undress yourself and get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was definitely
It's like
in
survival
the...
swimming
Survival
rather
swimming.
than trying to be fast.
Trying to be fast. Yeah.
like competitive swimming.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that was in the curriculum. I don't know if it's like universal in Australia where you go from level 1 to like level 8 and then after that you go into squad. No.
No.
Ring any bells.
I didn't get to level 1 then, if that's the case of it.
Maybe
So.
that was what I was failing, level 1, getting out of the
This
corner.
guy, this guy can't
straight
survive
to-
if he
yeah.
falls in the lake.
Just chuck a bunch of clothes on you, tell you to go in the water and take it off. What?
Yeah, because I was just trying to get a gauge. So, like you said, you didn't necessarily feel like you fit into a certain clique. I thought maybe you had your your friends from sport or anything, but it sounds like there was no certain mold that you
Yeah.
fit into, which is
Yeah.
What did you do
Sort
after
of.
school then?
What like after
Yeah,
high school?
No, I mean like after school. So 3 o'clock comes around.
Oh.
Like for example, me, I
Studying.
used to
Yeah.
skate. Like after school, I used to go skateboarding a lot
Yeah.
with my friends. And
I would go to like swimming or basketball, or like a bunch of our friends. We would walk over to the basketball court, hang out there. When we got older, we kind of like took the bus to go to the city and get bubble tea.
everything one. The photo. Did you ever do the photo booth stuff?
Hell yeah! Did you even have an Asian childhood if you didn't?
I never did it, so no.
Yeah, but you lived a more like Western.
Yeah, rural Queensland.
Oh,
It's a
true.
different. So I grew up in Mackay as well. So yeah, firstly, not many Asians, and secondly, no Asian friends. So
Yeah, there you go.
yeah,
I'm assuming no photo booths in Mackay.
no
either.
bubble tea, no photo booths. It's just steak and veggies, really. That's the highlight of the week. No, I'm kidding.
Is the
Bangers
meat
and
pies?
mash.
Yeah,
the meat
yeah,
pies are what I
sausages
like.
and pies. So Carmen, then now I guess you're in Brisbane. Like you said, you made that move to kind of, bit of a new start, change things up,
Yeah.
grow a little bit. So what do you do for work now?
Right now, I'm working in recruitment and I work from home. And we work for a client and we do like a bunch of recruitment for them, from like white collar roles to like blue collar roles. I guess the other way around.
Yeah.
It's really flexible at the moment, and I'm really grateful to have this job that supported me from making that move from Perth to Queensland. And also, it's flexible enough that I can do things that I want to do in my personal life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's it. Like at the moment, that flexibility, every place is offering it, and so they have to offer it. Every place is offering it.
I feel like
Yeah.
ever since COVID, that's something. Yeah, because everyone was working from home. Some companies embraced it and kept the change, and some are going back to office. But I think most are sort of embracing it, having some sort of split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in your
Yeah.
case, still 100%, which is pretty good.
Yeah. So you never have to go into the office.
Our our client does encourage it.
Yep.
So I would go like once a month. Yeah.
Oh,
if,
right,
like
jeez.
someone higher up from my team comes and visits the site, then I would go out and have lunch with the team. Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's ideal, yeah.
Yeah. I think, very fortunate in terms of this role, because when I tell people that I work from home, they're like, oh, so does that mean you have that program where you have to log on and they like monitor you and stuff? It's like, no, actually, we just have to get shit done. And
Yeah. I guess it's one of those things, if you're not hitting your numbers, then they'll start asking questions.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's fair.
Yeah, 100%.
More autonomy, less micromanaging. Which is good. Yeah.
Bit more of an adult sort of arrangement.
Yeah, exactly.
So growing up, I wanted to be a ringmaster in the circus.
Yeah.
Or I wanted to be in the WWE.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
WWE.
As every man in my age bracket would have wanted to be in the WWE. What did you want to do growing up? Were there any strange things? Like, where did you picture yourself, say, when you were 10 years old?
Yeah. I wanted to be a air hostess.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was something that I wanted to be, because like the first time I took a plane and then we went like across the world, I was like, that is so cool.
It seems like a glamorous life, doesn't it?
It does, until you grow older and you realize how like bad it is to be in that environment. Like the air just made my skin so dry, and then like you're working like graveyard shifts. Yeah. I was like, yeah, no.
With the smile. Which, when you take those long flights, I feel so bad for them.
Yeah. I enjoyed it as a kid, but definitely not as an adult.
They seem fun in your early 20s.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have too many commitments and you're fit enough to manage the different time zones and stuff, I think it'd be all right.
And a sleeping schedule and things, yeah.
What, anything from you, Kev?
I was just thinking about that.
Things you...
Nah, as a kid growing up, I didn't have any crazy dreams like that. I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing now. Just teaching Cali. I found that over the last 3 years. So, yeah, that's what I love doing now. Never thought I'd do that when I was a kid, to be honest.
What did you think that you were going to do when you were a kid?
No idea. I was just thinking about that while you guys were answering. I was like, blank. I just drew a blank.
You didn't want to be like a pro athlete or something?
I played soccer and basketball growing up. And I knew playing basketball was like, everyone's like a head taller than me. So I never knew I'd go far with it.
Yeah.
But I guess a little bit deep down, I was like, yeah, this could be something fun. But I don't know. Just the height difference, being Asian and that sort of
bloody hard work.
It's hard. What do we have to look up to? Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, and he's kicked out of the NBA now. So
really,
but even back then, we didn't have Jeremy Lin
hasn't
to look
played for a while.
Yeah,
so that's.
So I didn't really have any role models to. Actually, I guess that's where I realized I didn't really have any role models to look up to and follow. I didn't have like a blueprint or someone to follow in their footsteps. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because you back then you think, oh, like for me, ringmaster. I'm like, this is so cool, but you don't realize how hard it is. The time, the travel, just being
the training
on the road all the time. I guess you as well when you were thinking, air hostess, air hostess, how hard it actually is. So when you're a kid, the perceptions are quite warped.
Yeah, like you get to fly all over the world, but as an adult, I think it's a little bit hard to sustain. Although I have heard stories of people that have worked for like Emirates and stuff, and they would like stop in like Dubai and party it up and stuff. Which
that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, as a single young adult, that sounds pretty fun.
Did you ever have any, like you sort of spoke about before, but did you ever feel any pressure from the family? I know you said that they didn't put pressure on you to do anything, but did you ever feel it yourself that you had to do a certain thing when it comes to job or
I think I just wanted to do well. I think the pressure comes from knowing that my parents worked so hard to provide me with such a life, that I want to also work hard so that I could take care of my parents as well. And give back to them. So I put that pressure on myself.
I think that's where a lot of the pressures come from. It's not explicitly said from parents, but we just all want to do well. May not be for them, but we all want to do well for a reason, and that's usually the strongest.
Yeah, I think most of our parents, when they migrated here, most of them were like, they want to give a better life to their kids than what they had.
Yeah.
No matter what that be, just as long as you're happy and just living a better life than what they experienced. And I think most of us have that.
Yeah.
Filial duty. That's what it's called.
One of the good things that's come from the Asian culture.
Yeah, it's nice.
So Carmen, we just spoke about it off air, how high school, you said, was a little bit of a different experience, and you felt that you possibly drifted away from white girls. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah.
What was it that you felt changed, or is there anything you can talk about that experience?
I don't know if it's because of like personal insecurities at that time. I just felt that I couldn't really click with like the white girls. They just seemed very divided, especially in our year. It was very segregated. And because I was so used to being with Asians that like throughout high school and then after high school, I just didn't really know how to socialize with white people.
Was it different interests? Is there anything you can pinpoint?
Different interests, and also I think I did experience like a few occasions of bullying when I was in year 7.
Okay.
So that kind of also left an imprint on me that I felt like if I was to talk to them, like, are they judging me kind of thing? Yeah.
So was there anything said, or was it just a feeling, like a vibe that you got from them?
It was just a vibe. Yeah. It was a certain incident. In retrospect, it's kind of like trivial, but yeah, I wasn't sure if it's just like bullying in general or it was like a racism thing. Yeah.
Okay. And then now you say that you feel like you're way more comfortable around Asians because of that experience.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you realize that over time, or was it just a slow thing that you're like, okay, for some reason right now I just don't like don't like associating with white people, but I don't feel as comfortable with them.
Yeah.
Did that just happen quickly?
Can you ask that question
Well, hang
again?
on. Let me rephrase. Would you still say you feel that way, or would you still say that you've now grown out of it and you're comfortable with either race?
Definitely. I think when I fought that battle of trying to overcome my social anxiety, that also helped me become more confident in just socializing with any race. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had to work over it over time, coming out of high school.
Yeah, definitely coming out of high school was a big factor to being able to mingle more multiculturally.
Yeah.
Because I had the similar experience, like various bullying. They're all little things that add up throughout the years and months that you experience it. And in a way, I think that's probably what drew me to gravitate toward hanging out with Asians when I moved here. But at the same time, I also realized that those people don't reflect the whole group.
Yeah.
So it's just the way that they are through their own experiences, through their own upbringing. And I learned that, everyone's not like that. So I still have...
Did you realize that at the time, or was that in
No,
hindsight?
this was later. This was sort of
It's
like
a very
retrospect.
mature outlook, which
It's
I wouldn't have had.
Yeah, I think so. Something that I grew into or learnt later on.
Yeah, because I had, like we said before, I had the exact opposite. Not to say I don't feel comfortable around Asians, but I didn't do the bubble tea, I didn't do the karaoke and the sticky photos and stuff. So it's just a whole different world for me, and I probably do feel a bit more at ease with Western Australian people, just because of my hobbies and things that I'd like doing in my spare time is probably more aligned with that group of people. But as you said, you get comfortable with it, and you just kind of grow up and mature a little bit and learn a bit more about different groups.
Yeah, everyone's kind of the
Everyone
same.
is an individual.
And especially when you grow up, you start to find like your own hobbies that you like, and it doesn't necessarily mean like is an Asian hobby or something. Like everyone loves yoga no matter what race you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you find people and have that common ground that you start with, and you feel at ease with them.
Okay.
Like there was a... I don't know if I was thinking whether I should add this in or not, but... Because growing up, my dad used to be like quite racist toward Indians.
Yeah.
And that shaped the way I viewed them initially through high school.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't think that anymore because I've grown out of that mindset. I realize everyone's their own person. But that was taught to me. So I always think racism is taught.
It
the way
is.
people
It is.
treat you
100%.
because of the way their parents probably experienced and raised their kids. That's all it's about, I think.
Yeah, because you don't know. Your opinions are all shaped by something, and it's usually your parents or your family, your surroundings that you think that's how it's meant to be. And racism, like you say, that's how it sort of starts.
Yeah, and obviously as I had Indian friends, you got to know them, you're like, oh, you guys are actually pretty cool.
That's so true. Actually, yeah.
For an Indian.
Yeah, like that makes a lot of sense because like the dialogue that my parents had growing up is like they would generalize like a certain culture of people and they would have like a separate name like Guaylo. Like that is so like that segregates them already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The language is so important. We're exactly the same. Like I don't want to be like, oh no, my family is much better. No, we're exactly the same. You label people and then you assume that the whole group is one way.
Right? Yeah. Oh, that's a good point, Kevin.
Which is what people probably think about us.
Probably.
As Asians too.
These Asians, like that's a label that segregates.
I guess from the other way, it's almost like, you know, when your white friends taste like Asian food and like, you know, at first they're like hesitant and then they try and like, oh shit, it's not that bad, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, just go try it yourself, you know? All the things you've heard about maybe the smell or the look or whatever it is.
Something different and they just think that it's going to be,
it's going to be bad.
Strange.
Naturally. Yeah.
That's a good point. Moving on then, Carmen. So in terms of your dating life at the moment, what's the status?
I am single and happily single. Yeah.
Okay. Say happily single, so right now you're not really looking for anything, you're happy just being your own person?
Yeah, just being my own person and taking this time for myself to be the best version of myself. I've spent a lot of my young adult years in long-term relationships, and in hindsight I probably would tell my 18-year-old self not to do that. But yeah, now I'm living that life where I can be single and just not having to be accountable for anyone. Yeah.
How long were these relationships?
The first one was like 5 to 6 years.
Well, that is
from
that
when
is
I
very
was
long.
18. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's very long.
Yeah, exactly.
And not the regret, but you said you might have told yourself not to do it. Why would you not want to do it?
Because when you're 18, like that is like one of the most significant years for you to really find who you are and like shape your personality, your values, and your principles. And so if you're attached to this other person, which may not have, you know, the best values and principles, then that could really influence how you are until you become single and realize, you know, those aren't my values and principles. Like I can be my own person.
Definitely.
I love that.
Yeah, that's
good point.
Yeah.
That's excellent because I know we've all probably got friends or people we know where, you know, both members of the couple don't want to say they settle, but they kind of just get really comfortable and then they don't or they stagnate.
They don't grow.
And then they don't grow, and then unfortunately 4, 5, 6 years go by and they've just realized that they've lost that time that they couldn't actually develop themselves.
Or they've lost themselves, and it's basically, you just think of them as, oh, it's those two. You don't really think of them as
exactly.
individuals anymore.
Yeah, that's good advice. And you said, you know, the last one, you didn't say toxic. That's a word I'm throwing out there, but it was difficult, and you took a lot for you to get over it. Yeah. Is there anything in particular that you look back now and realize you didn't really like?
I think it was like, even though I feel that the 2 long-term relationships that I had were toxic, it wasn't something that I regretted because it kind of allowed me to deep dive onto myself. Like, how did I get into these relationships? And that taught me that I needed better boundaries. So yeah, the bad things made me realize that I need to work on myself. And I guess that's why I choose to stay single now, so that I could be the best version of myself, that when the right person comes along, then I believe that, you know, vibrations attract other vibrations. I want to be, you know, having high vibrations to attract someone of that level. And
then I think the best is when both sides, so, you know, both partners are doing that at the same time, where they're both trying to improve themselves, and it's not, I'm living in the shadow of someone else. You know, it always goes that way, but that's the ideal, isn't it?
It's the mindset, I think. If you both have your goals and you're both helping each other, supporting each other where you can.
Yeah.
It's so important to have your own lives and your own hobbies.
Yeah, for sure.
But then hopefully that complements each other rather than, there's too much sacrifice.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're not walking on the same path. You're walking on two separate paths, and you just choose this person to be the partner in crime that you want to walk this journey of life with.
Were your partners, were they a similar age to you?
They were both older than me. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like much older or a small gap?
One was 2 years older. Wait, no. One was like 4 years older than me, and the other was about 4 to 5 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 years at 18 and even early 20s is quite a difference. It's a massive difference, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Different stages.
Yeah, exactly. Looking back. And you just don't know that when you're 18. You're naive and you just follow along with whatever. Yeah.
You even look at like ourselves 4 or 5 years ago as to where we are now. Not even just, physically, but emotionally and mentally. It's totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say even after 25, a 4 or 5 year gap would be okay. It'd be like relatively similar stages.
Yeah.
But yeah, 18
and 23 or 24.
Anything under 25, anything more than like 2 or 3 years, different stages potentially.
They do say when you're like 23, 24, that's when you really solidify your personality. Do you think that's true?
I disagree with it.
When would you say?
I think it's more experiences because I've changed a lot since my mid-20s to late where I am now, early 30s. My personality's changed.
Yeah.
I went through 2 big changes, I think, over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. I think,
it's changed completely.
On average, I probably would agree because it's kind of most people, that's when you had a couple of years out of school, it's you sort of know what path you're going to be on. But like Kev said, he's had a few things that changed and he's changed his direction since then. So I guess, it probably goes back to your experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like age, yes, from a biological point of view, your frontal lobe. I think we were talking about this last night.
Frontal lobe.
It's all this damn frontal lobe. Everything seems to affect the bloody frontal lobe. If you could give young guys advice when it comes to dating and I guess just taking care of a woman, because it's not just the physical stuff, it's the emotional things, and like you say, it can either scar you or it can have an impact on you. What advice would you give to young guys?
I'd say work on yourself, because if you're not the best version of yourself, then how can you be with another person? Because I think a lot of people, we carry baggages from childhood experiences or just any experience that shape us who we are. And if we don't overcome those baggages or know how to manage them, then that can be easily projected onto your partner, and that can give them, lasting impressions that they would have to get over. It's kind of like a cycle.
Yeah. Well, they say hurt people hurt people.
Exactly.
I hate that, but it's so true.
Yeah. So definitely work on yourself emotionally and mentally. Yeah. Like not even just for dating, but for in general, it would be very beneficial for you.
And then, like we said before we started this, is people don't really have these conversations about their emotions, about things a bit deeper. And it's good that I guess people are now starting to get a bit more in tune with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd say, young men should try and learn to communicate better and open up their feelings.
Yeah, especially...
Rather than, I guess, be all, what's the word? Like hard, it's not hard to get, but it's kind of like hiding your feelings, your true feelings.
Yeah. Can't think of the word, but...
Kind of talking about it last night a little bit.
Like,
the way our friend was behaving.
Like fear of vulnerability?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, just learn to be vulnerable with the right people and...
Which is so normal, I think. Like a lot of guys, because they've grown up in this masculine culture or expectation for them not to show their emotions, that when they grow up, it's very hard for them to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Yeah, it's good advice.
I honestly think one of the most attractive traits in a guy is their ability to be vulnerable. Yeah.
Not the 6-pack. Remember that. Remember that, guys.
I've wasted the last 8 years.
Should be working on your emotional side, mate.
Yeah.
I went to therapy earlier.
That's good.
But just being a person in the dating pool in general, sometimes it's hard to find someone that you connect with. Yeah. I mean, there are so many options available, but to connect with them emotionally, I think that is one of the most difficult things
It
to
sucks
find.
when you have too many options. Wouldn't know what that's like.
Jeez. On that then, Carmen, so you've said right now you're happy being single and, you know, there's a few little boxes to be ticked and things like that. How would you then know that the right guy's coming along?
I'm a big believer of like the right person will come into your life at the right time. So
And you just kind of know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
That's a feeling rather than a checklist.
Yeah, it's a feeling. I used to have a checklist of like they need to be like taller than me, older than me, like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But now I realize that it's a feeling that you have. It's a vibe when you vibe with someone.
Based on your experiences.
Yeah, and to take things slow as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a mix of both. Like, I have friends that lean so heavily on the checklist that they miss out on so many opportunities, even though it probably felt great. But because they didn't have X, Y, Z, whatever it is, they just wrote them off.
Yeah.
And to me, that's such a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, there's never going to be that perfect person for anyone. I mean, no one is perfect. So
No one's perfect.
you got to
exactly.
take the rough with the smooth sometimes. But, you know,
But,
it's the inside, to be honest. That's, as you said, more important for you.
And like you said, there's not going to be that perfect person. So find the person that you're happy to compromise for.
Yeah. And then you got to make your own sacrifices and they'll do some and
Yeah.
hopefully that'll all work out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Going back then to the theme of the podcast, which is being Asian and us growing up in Australia, did you picture yourself with an Asian guy growing up, you know, when you were young, I'm going to marry some, you know, Asian guy, or did race ever factor in to your expectations?
Yeah, I think growing up, like Cantonese, I watched a lot of like TVB. And so I had like my TVB crushes. Like TVB is like a Hong Kong drama channel for those who's never heard of it.
I assumed it was some,
Yeah, and like Korean dramas and that kind of thing. So in high school, I always saw myself being with an Asian guy. But then something just changed when I got into uni. I just, sought out people that weren't from Asian culture.
Yeah. In our last episode, we spoke to our guest, and he was the same. He thought his whole life he was going to marry a white person.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was surrounded by. That's all he really knew. And then uni, you meet more people. There's a lot more different races and cultures involved. And he was like, well, why am I limiting myself when the person inside is going to be, you know, possibly a better fit than someone who's a certain race?
Yeah. I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. There's like 7 billion people in the world.
Race is just one element. It's, you know, culture. You can make assumptions, but at the same time, like, you can make assumptions about us because of the way we look, but then you realize, oh, we're white inside.
Yeah, and the amalgamation of different cultures is beautiful as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have anything on, what about you, Kev? Did you ever picture yourself with a certain type of woman? I'm talking, you know, young Kev, 10, 12-year-old, horny Kev. Sorry, corny Kev.
For me, I think I always saw myself dating Asians, to be honest. It was only more recently I could see myself dating other races. Yeah, over the last couple of years. Maybe even more recently than that. But my entire dating history has been always Asian, so... But I'm slowly seeing myself being able to possibly date others now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite of
Slow
that.
shift. You're the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. My preference is just changing, I guess. Or, I don't know, something I'm still thinking about. It feels like it's open-minded now.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean...
Because before that, I never really clicked with any other races. I didn't really feel the attraction there. I just went with the feeling. It wasn't like it was a box to tick. It was just the feeling. Yeah.
So we spoke about it before off camera. So I always pictured myself marrying someone white, just because, again, that's all I knew. But then in the back of my mind, I thought probably a bit too much into it. How's it going to work with family and culture and all those things, the optics. The kid's going to, if it's a white mother, it's going to be a mixed family. And like for me, I was like, it just doesn't look a certain way.
Yeah.
But and then here I am marrying an Asian. So it's amazing how your expectations change and develop over time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the best advice that I received was when I went to see a counselor. Because I was talking to her how like I am like based on my dating history, how can I avoid that and date someone that is better for me? And she said the first question was like, do you have a best friend? And I was like, yeah, Anna. And she's like, what do you love about Anna? And I listed all these traits that I loved about her, and she's like, that is the person you need to find in a partner. So I guess a good listener, the ability to be vulnerable, humor is a good one, and consideration and thoughtfulness, kindness.
Okay.
Someone that has a big heart. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's good that none of those are physical traits. It's all just,
I like, in saying that, I do think physical traits are important as well. You need to be sexually attracted or physically attracted to that person as well. But like I said, there's 7 billion people. There's bound to be someone that will.
Surely.
Yeah.
I think I've realized too, like those are all great traits to look for, and obviously, like I think most of us look for it. But I think in our early days, we make those compromises because we didn't know better.
Well, the pool's also way
Well, the pool's smaller, I guess, but because it's not necessarily easy to find someone that ticks all those things, right?
No.
So in the early days, you're like, oh, I'll compromise and see how this goes. But now that you're looking for
She's
those
funny.
things,
She's not that funny, but
we date with rose-colored glasses.
yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that. Yeah, I like that she used your friend too and got you there.
Yeah.
I might use that advice for people I know who are barking up the wrong trees.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about yoga, which is obviously a big part of your life now. Like you said, it sort of helped you get through that breakup, that period of your life. When did you start? And now tell us about what you do now with yoga.
Yeah. I started yoga around the end of my first relationship, and I never really saw myself getting into yoga like this because the first yoga class I've ever been to is Bikram, and if you've ever been to Bikram,
I've never done a class.
You're basically just gonna faint and get traumatized and never want to do yoga again.
Yep.
So Bikram yoga is when you do yoga in like a 37 degree to 40 degree room.
Oh, so it's like hot yoga.
Hot yoga, yeah, it's hot yoga, and you do
I tried it the other week. You should try it.
It's great. I wouldn't survive.
That's not Bikram though, because if it was Bikram, you would be traumatized.
Oh, okay.
So you did that,
Whatever I
and
did
you
then.
were like, I'm never doing yoga
Yeah,
again.
I
This
was
is
like,
ridiculous.
fuck this.
Yeah.
I didn't
Do you
feel
hold the
good at
pose for a
all.
long time in the room, or is it movement?
It's not as dynamic as the yoga class that we went to. So you do hold like 23 poses. Yeah, and it's the same structure every class. And in the mindset now that I have now, like I do enjoy it. But definitely, if that's the first yoga class that anyone has tried, I don't think.
Even if they have like an athletic background, or it's still pretty rough.
Yeah. So I took a break from that, and then one of my friends, Angelica, she was like, do you want to come to a yoga class with me? And I was like, sure. And we went to another type of yoga class. It was called Vinyasa yoga, and I realized like how great I felt afterwards. It was more dynamic. The sequence is different every class, and I went really consistently, and I guess that kind of catapulted me into this journey of like being more spiritual, what that means for me, getting in touch with myself, and yeah, that journey brought me now to being a yoga teacher. I just saw how great I felt, and I wanted to help other people feel good as well after them doing their yoga class.
So when you're saying feel good, is it physically? Obviously, you're stretching and all that, but is it the mental side that you really get a good kick out of?
Both. we live in a society that is like go, go, go. Like we don't take a lot of time to put ourselves as our priority, and to give back to ourselves, to nourish the body, the mind, and the spirit. Now I'm speaking like a yoga teacher.
I'm relaxed already.
But yeah, just that 1 hour a day, or not even 1 hour, half an hour a day, to be just by ourselves can bring a lot of benefits mentally and physically.
Yeah.
I'm ready to do a yoga class.
Yeah, let's get the mats out. When Carmen was talking about her first experience, which she said it was rough, it's like, remember when we did that stupid insanity video?
At Diane's.
Yeah, and we're like, we're never doing these things ever. It was, have you ever done it? It's an insanity class. It's like
It's like Zumba, but on steroids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
feel
was-
like I've heard of it before. But I've never
We were
personally done it.
sweating.
It was rough.
It was, the tiles were wet by the time we were done.
Yeah.
It's a slip hazard.
We managed to do a couple, but
I can imagine that's what that class would be like, actually.
Yeah,
where you're just halfway through, like, why am I even doing this?
yeah. Like, you're showering on your own sweat as well. So it's probably a very similar experience.
Yeah. Not
Definitely not for the
attractive.
beginners.
Yeah, and it's funny because like when I talk to other people about yoga and they're like, oh, it's not really for me. I ask them what the first class they did, and it usually is Bikram. And I was
Okay.
like, that makes so much sense.
I think they need to like title it Bikram and then in brackets.
Not for the faint-hearted.
Not
like
beginner friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess you do the yoga and then also the pole as well. Mm-hmm. How did you get into that?
I've always been like attracted to doing pole because it's very mesmerizing watching someone do pole, and also like it allows you to get in touch with like your sexual feminine side. So yeah, when I
Can attest to that.
yeah, Kevin,
Just touching the feminine
Touch my
side.
feminine side.
you in those pink
The little
pink
heels,
heels.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Got to get you on there, Ethan, soon.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say we'll see, but no, we won't see. Yeah, so it got you in touch with that. Obviously, it's physically a good activity.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing it for now?
A few months. So when I moved to Brisbane, I found Hangar 66 and all of those like classes that they had. I was like, oh, this is such a great like little studio that I feel I could just try a little bit of everything and learn something new. So I've done it since I think April or May now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you actually haven't been in Brisbane that long.
No.
Yeah.
I went to Gold Coast first at the end of February and then moved to Brisbane around May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Kev, when he was on as a guest, we spoke about it briefly, and he was saying like he had a little bit of not backlash, but mum was a bit concerned about him doing it. Have
Yeah.
you had any of that from your family? Just because it's something different?
No, I actually haven't, luckily. I guess it goes back to, you know, my parents being like, if it's safe, if it makes you happy, then do it. So, yeah, my parents are supportive about it. Maybe they turn a blind eye. But, yeah, I actually sometimes show my parents, like, the choreo that I would do or any cool tricks that I would do.
Yep.
And, yeah, they're like, cool. Yeah.
Nice, that's cool. Sounds
Yeah.
like your parents are very
Supportive.
open-minded.
Yeah.
Very progressive. Thinking.
And yeah, I have this auntie who lives in Hong Kong as well, and she's in like the family group chat, and she's like, you know what, this is the best time to do it when you're young and sexy.
That's a good point.
That's a good point. Yeah. Because, what was that actor? Was it Jennifer Love Hewitt? I think she said once that she regretted not doing more with her youth.
Yeah. Well, once it's gone, it's
gone.
It's so hard to get back for older women, especially. What I've never asked you guys this, but what's the demographic like age-wise at Hangar? Are there older students around?
Ranges? Yeah, there are. Demographic ranges between early 20s through to mid 30s on average.
Okay, so there's no like 50-year-olds.
There's a few,
There
but
is.
I'd say
Okay.
it's
Okay.
in general it's going to be a smaller percentage. Like the majority would be the early to mid 20s. I'd say even mid 20s to early 30s would be the majority,
Yeah.
and
But
just
then-
tapers off from there.
Yeah, but then when you go to competitions, all of, like a big demographic is like mums, hey?
There are a lot of mothers too. Yeah,
Okay.
certain
awesome.
studios attract that. You know, just different branding
Yeah.
as well. different offerings. Because at the same time, like doing these classes, it's not cheap. So when you're like 18 or whatever, it's
you're not doing
expensive.
that.
You're not gonna have that
You're
much
going to
money to put into it.
Yeah.
That's why it attracts, I think, maybe a little bit older in general.
Yeah. And then on that, one of my last points, Carmen, on that about, if you had backlash from family or even if it's friends, just questioning something a bit different, why are you doing this? Would you even care?
I think, part of me would care. I mean, like, we're human. It's just human nature to be susceptible to feel a little bit bad when we get judgment.
Yep.
But I think one of the best advice that I heard, I don't know if I'm going to phrase this properly, but like, you need to be comfortable with yourself first. Yeah. See yourself in a positive light so that when people judge you, then you know that you're not that. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good advice.
I think that could be said more eloquently, but
I think that's
hope
fine.
you get the gist.
I got the gist.
Yeah.
There's a few ways I have heard it too. I think one of it was when you feel uncomfortable. I'm probably going to butcher it too, but when you feel
Have a go, man.
when you feel like you're being judged or you've got that feeling of uncomfortableness, maybe look down on that feeling and just keep going. Kind of taught me to stop caring a little bit, because when I first started posting on social media and stuff, you're putting yourself out there, you're vulnerable, saying things. In the back of your mind, you're always going to be like, I wonder what people think, But I think you just got to remember you're doing it for yourself and remember why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And keep that at the forefront of your mind when you do it.
And talk to someone about it. If you feel bad, just like anything, talk to someone that would bring you up.
Yeah, that helps too, definitely. Surround yourself with people, like-minded people.
Yeah.
It's definitely true.
And then my last one, Carmen, so thanks for everything that you've shared so far. If you could give yourself any advice, so not that someone's told you, but young Carmen who's coming up, she hasn't, let's say, pre-high school.
Yeah.
If you could give yourself some advice to get yourself to where you are now, where to me you seem very happy, and that, what would it be?
Take your time in your dating life. Don't get into a relationship when you're 18.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well,
Wraps it up.
I think that's it. Yeah, so Kev is going to do a quick little rapid fire.
Okay.
No right or wrong answers, but there'll be judgment. That's all.
All right.
I hope it's not maths questions.
Oh, could be.
All right. Do you prefer texting or calling?
Texting.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
What's your favorite city?
Hong Kong.
Okay. Japanese or Korean food?
Japanese.
Friends or How I Met Your Mother?
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of both. I mean, I don't.
Or either. Okay.
Yeah.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Reality shows or documentaries?
Documentaries.
And would you prefer to pause time or rewind time?
Pause time.
Why is that?
I think time goes really fast as is, especially when we're adults. So it'd be nice for certain experiences if we can pause time and really, be present.
Savor it.
Yeah, savor it.
Yep.
I read a book recently that touched on that. Just to remind yourself every now and then when you're doing things, just to be present. Just pause, inhale, exhale. Remember where you're at, what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think
Time goes by so quick.
And also we have such busy lives now, especially I know me with kids and things. It's trying to really, if you're not at work, don't think about work.
Yeah.
Spend time with the family. When you're at work, unfortunately, your kids can be doing whatever at home,
Yeah.
but you're not there. You can't really do anything. So worry about that. And like exactly what you said, just be in the present. It's so important. Which I think a lot of
now
people,
is the only thing that's real. Whatever's happening in the future or in the past is done.
yeah, 100%.
But it's hard, eh? Like just reminding yourself to do that all the time. It's like a muscle you got to train. So
It is like
that's
anything,
something.
yeah. And then
good,
for
like
you, Carmen, then I suppose what's next for you? What's any aspirations for the rest of the year or next year? What's coming up for you?
Yeah, like at the moment I'm trying to build my Instagram page. So I really want to put energy into that so that I can live a life where I can just be anywhere in the world and work from a laptop or a phone.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Hopefully this
nomad
podcast helps. Probably not, but might lose you a few fans, but no, I'm sure it'll help. And then is there anything that you want to shout out? So, you're doing the yoga classes.
Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, anytime. This is your chance to plug something if you want to.
Yeah, follow me on Call Me Carmen X. And if you want private yoga classes, I've got you. Hit a girl up.
Definitely do it.
Awesome. Cool.
Well, yeah, thanks for your time. And good luck with everything. And we really appreciate you coming on.
No, thank you so much. This has been really fun. And you guys are great hosts. I've had a really great time speaking and getting to know you.
Oh, thanks, Carmen.